to say about Ian. Um, he was born to us August 10th, 1986. And is 10 pounds, 13 and a half ounces, 11 pounds. Thank you, Lydia. Anyway, he was a really big baby. And he was Bubba, and he was a happy baby, pretty much. He was. We started meeting in the church in Riverside in '91. He was 5, and he grew up here in Riverside in the church life. He loved the Lord, and he loved to play Dungeons and Dragons and video games, and he had a lot of friends in high school and junior high come over all the time. I guess we were the cool parents, so kids would come hang out, and guess we let them do what they wanted to do. But he was a generous soul. He was just willing to give anything that he had. If anybody needed anything, he would give it up. He really cared about people, and he reached out to people all the time. For a long time, when he got sick, when he was 18, we dealt with a lot of things. I think no one's prepared for a major illness, and mental illness is pretty devastating. And not only were we short, but everyone is short, because it's scary. There's a lot of stigma attached to mental illness. People don't know how to react. And he kind of withdrew, stopped coming to meetings. And I thought he was isolated, but I found out after he passed that he had many, many friends online. We had an online wake, and a lot of people shared what kind of a creative person he was, and how loving he was, how much he loved us. I mean, he always wanted a hug. He always wanted a kiss. He was a very affectionate person. He was only 32. He would be 33 next month. And I just wanted to wanted you all to remember how he was, what a worthwhile person he was. He would give his time when he was younger serving with the kids. He'd spend time teaching people to play guitar, or I don't know. He really gave of himself, and I know he's with the Lord now. There's no question that he really loved the Lord, and even though he wasn't meeting with us often, he did love the Lord. He called on the Lord. Even in his last week, so I have no doubt. And I'd like to open up, the time for you guys to come up and share something, any memories you have of him. This is just informal. It's just for us. Thank you.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and go first, I guess, or second. So thank you, everyone, for coming, I want to say. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Aaron. I grew up with Ian going into high school, known him ever since, can't even remember, probably 14, 15 years old. And big group of my friends over here still know him to this day, still have the luxury of getting to spend time with all of them. Still hang out, and at least over the last 5 years, I got the luxury of hanging out with Ian quite a bit, seeing him. You know, as we get older, especially in our 30s, and I'm getting married now, and never got to spend as much time as I wanted, and now I don't get to, and it's kind of hard for me to deal with. This first friend I've ever lost, and lost my grandparents, and start. Ian was a great guy. He always shared music with me, always shared games with me, and in his last few years, he would spend what money he had when he came. He would just insist on trying to buy me gifts still, even though, you know, he wasn't able to really ever get a good job. He's just a very giving person, just like Joe said. It's very true, and he's a very good friend. And that's how we should all remember him, because he all did a lot for those that he did a lot for. And thank you all for coming again today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'm David. I'm Ian's older brother. So I didn't really write anything or plan anything, so I'm just going to be extremely cautious here. Let's see. So as you saw, the little photo memorial that I put together, it took a couple days. It's very time consuming. But, I was looking over some of those photos, and, I was kind of a little sad. We all grieve in different ways, and my function in this tragic time was helping my family, doing some of the hard logistical work of dealing with someone's death. Like, for some reason, I have cried quite a bit, but the thing is that I just felt that someone has to be there that is like focused and determined to get things done. And so I've been doing that. I've been keeping busy. I've been working. I've been, I don't think Ian would want me to just drop everything I'm doing. So luckily I've been able to do that. And, just planning this, talking to all of you, planning the wake, which was amazing. And it's okay if you didn't, I felt, this is what I did. I set up an online wake for all of his online friends, knowing that they couldn't come out here. So that was for them, and this is for all of you that knew him in person. And it was really great. We had like 20 people in the room, and we were all reminiscing, and my dad even got involved, and my mom, and it was pretty amazing, like just hearing all these stories. And they had sent me things that I wasn't even aware of. Like they sent me a song, and if you guys want to hear it sometime, like I'm not going to play it right now, but they like one of his friends had this song that it's Ian's voice. He wrote the song, he performed it on the guitar, and he sang it. And it's a really actually pretty decent song. It's a little silly and funny, but that's the way he was. But it was just really good hearing his voice again and hearing something that I didn't know that he even did. And so he had a lot of his friends in this online gaming world. And so one of the things I did was to organize this, I actually went on his TeamSpeak. I went on his Discord. If you play games, you know what all this stuff is. And I just literally just started messaging. I looked at his history. I looked at who he was playing games with. I said, I'm David, Ian's brother. I'm sad. I had to tell these people. And, I was really surprised to see how close some of them were to him. Like they talked to him almost every day. In fact, when I signed on to his TeamSpeak, because his computer broke, so he was not on for like 2 weeks. And it was really sad when they're all like, oh, look who it is, it's Crux. And it was sad because I had to sit there and break the news. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not Crux. But yeah, they really missed him. They missed that he was not on. So anyway, one of the things I was doing was when I was going through the pictures, setting that up, sorry, I'm kind of jumping back and forth here. I was a little saddened. It was really hard to do that. I found that I was looking at some of those pictures of him and me as kids playing, and I was just reminded of how much when we were little, especially how much he looked up to me. And also talking to his friends on the wake, they said the same thing, that he spoke very highly of all of you, especially me. And like he looked up to me a lot, and I try to be a good big brother to him. And I think I'll share this because I think this is cool. Like, I will say in the last few days of his life, I just happened to be there. Like, I've been, gone, I go do things, and I'm not usually home, but for the last few days I was home. And for some reason I put on Blade Runner, which is I think it's our favorite movie. And he just comes in and watches it with me. Now this is very unusual because maybe he'll watch it with me, but he actually stayed awake through the whole thing, which I found very surprising because he usually just dozes off when he's like watching a movie with me. But I was always telling everyone, hey, I think that's a really good memory to go out on, like just doing something like we used to do when we were young, like just sit down and watch a movie we like and kind of talk over it, make fun of it. Because that's what we're doing, because we'd seen it a million times. There's just like really no point. And then I'm trying to think of what else. As far as another thing is, like the day before he died, I was sitting on the porch here with Keone over here, and we were just hanging out, and like Keone has this just random idea, oh, we should just take selfies, and I'm like, okay, sure. And I didn't know that would be the last photo that I'd have of Ian. So I did include it on the board, and it's admittedly, he doesn't look great in that photo, but I thought it was important to include that because that was how he looked right before he went. And so it's really it was really great that I'm really thankful that Keone was here and thought of that, because when you get older, you'll kind of see on the board, like you have a lot of pictures when they're young, but as they grow into adulthood, you take less and less pictures. So I think I had like 3 or 4 pictures of him that were taken within the last 5 years. So it's really nice. And anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up, but thank you all for coming, and I really appreciate it. I think it means a lot that all of you guys showed up, and I just really, he kind of felt sometimes like, he got depressed, but the thing is that many people loved him, and this is proof of that right here. Like, this room is proof of how much he was loved, and we're discovering that every day. Like talking to you on the phone, talking to everyone, just how much you guys meant to him. I mean, he was just so genuine and wonderful, like just kind. That's kind of what I want to remember him for. Anyway, thank you.
All right, well, my name is Daniel. I'm Ian's brother. I'm the middle child. He's the youngest, and David's the anyways, basically, I really miss my brother. Me and him were starting to bond a lot for the last 3 years. We were always, when I was a kid, I'd be outside riding my bike, and he'd be inside reading books with David. He had like a 5th grade reading level in like 2nd grade. That kid was smart, man. My brother Ian, he's so smart. He used to be able to like fix computers and take them apart and put them back together and build computers and diagnose them if they're broken. And I love him so much, like, I mean, it's hard though, because, I just wish I hung out. He was really affectionate. Like, he always asked for a hug, like, can I have a hug? Like, yeah, I'll give you a hug. But, he's a good brother. He's very generous too. He would just buy me food all the time. And I just wish I spent more time with him before he passed on. But yeah, he was a really smart kid. Like, I mean, he was in honors, and he took an honors course in college for American history or something like that. He got A's in all his classes. He was an extremely smart kid. His vocabulary was superb. Like he was like, he just was amazing. That kid, how smart he was.
Yeah, he helped tutor me.
Yeah. Anyways, but I really love him a lot. You know, like if I could do it again, I would be more like, you know, shepherding and like, I just, you know, maybe, I mean, I don't know if there's gonna be a new heaven and a new earth, but if there is, hopefully I'll get to see him again. But he was like 11 pounds, 13 ounces. Mom always said, you know, better watch it because when he gets older, he's going to beat you up. And he's bigger. He was bigger than me. Like, when I was a kid, I mean, when we were kids, I was always, you know, bullying him. But then when he got bigger, he
didn't put up with it.
He didn't put up with it. He would like one day he gave me a big hug. He's like, brotherly love. And he's
I wouldn't let him give me hugs because, yeah, too small.
Yeah, so I'm just like stoked that, you know, you guys are all here. I wish I had prepared something, but all right, well, God bless.
I'll just keep it quick. I mean, you guys are going to hear this repeating over and over again. Ian was very kind, very generous. With me, he was generous with his time, very patient. You know, I gave him a run for his money too, and he was always very patient with me and loving, you know. And in reference to that photograph, I mean, I don't think I've taken a picture in probably years, and I don't know why it happened that night. I decided to just take a picture with Ian, try to get Daniel in the picture, and it just happened to be the last one. I think 2 days later he passed, but I mean, I'm really gonna miss him. Like, I'm sure you guys, everybody who knows Ian knows what a great guy he really was. You know, he had a very genuine heart, and that's a lot to say for you know, for people in general. You know, they're hard to find. So I'm gonna miss him. I love him, and I love you guys, Tories. Love you guys too. Thank you.
So Ian's maybe 2 years older than me, but so what I remember of Ian, I haven't seen him maybe in 10 years or 7 years, but he reminds me a lot of his parents. And his parents took care of us as children. They were our Sunday school teacher, and just like what you all are saying of him right now, how he's so generous, that's what I remember of Joe and Lydia, always taking care of us, just like they took care of their own kids. All of the kids, it didn't matter who you were, they always took care of us just like they took care of their own children. And Ian, I remember he's just kind, exactly like that. I remember also in high school, whenever we had a computer question, Ian was the one that we asked, right? And probably no one even knows that he helped us fix our laptops. He helped us fix our computers. My brother Matthew, he lives up in Reno, Nevada now, but probably took his laptop to him several times. And of course, you know, Ian doesn't charge anything. He just did it because he cared about us. Very kind, very generous, just like his parents, and just like the Lord. And I just appreciated, that's a testimony in itself of the Lord living in Ian. And yeah, I just know he's in a better place. It would be great if he would be here, but at the same time, yeah, he's in a much better place in the bosom of the Lord right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Lord, for Ian. We really enjoyed Ian, and he liked the sisters. I'll never forget the time that all the sisters were having a meeting at Lydia's house. And most of the time, as sisters are having a meeting, the brothers go in the other room. I mean, they wouldn't be around. But Ian came out with his guitar, and he helped us sing. And he did that more than once. And I just really appreciated it. He was so kind and so sweet to us. And he had such a sweet heart. And I just really appreciated him.
Hi. I wasn't expecting to say anything. I came here to support Joe and Lydia. And when the young man started talking about parents and how they share themselves with with children in the community, I just had to say something because Joe and Lydia have not only helped children in their close surroundings, they've extended themselves throughout Riverside. They've helped people who needed help in so many ways, particularly in the field of mental illness. My name is Dr. Joanne Umezarique. I'm with the NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. Joe and Lydia have shared themselves and their knowledge and the challenges that the Lord has given them to help so many people. They teach, they help support. It's something, and with such sincerity and love and a desire to help people who are dealing with situations that they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do in situations about mental illnesses, so I just needed to thank them. I did not know Ian, but I do know his parents. And if he was anything like his parents, he is blessed and loved. And the Lord is taking real good care of him because they have been wonderful. Joe has been able to help me in situations when I really needed him. And I just want to thank them both and tell them that I'll be praying for both of you and the rest of your family. And I appreciate you so much. And the Lord is good.
Hi. All right, I'm gonna try and keep it together. If I break down crying, just give me a second. I'll collect it and we'll get started again. Okay, so there's a number of things I want to talk about. So if I go on too long, I really apologize. I do a really good job at not accessing my emotions for a long period of time, and then when I start talking about it, I just start crying. So I think this is going to be one of those times. I didn't feel anything. I went out country dancing last night. It's like, I got to clear my head. And I love country dancing. But I couldn't stop thinking about Ian. So I was like, okay, I got to take some notes because I want to say something tomorrow. I ended up writing like an essay. I got like paragraphs here of stuff. So I'm going to try and figure it out. But I think it's really important to try and encapsulate the whole situation, the struggle that he had when he hit his 20s, because I was there up until that point, and what this dear sister told us about the mental illness was a struggle for us all to figure out how to handle the situation. And it was devastating and strange. There was a lot of emotions that I personally had. So I wanted to kind of share that with you to maybe bring some light to it, but also impress you with just how wonderful Ian was and how devastating our faulty genetics can be. So a little bit of history. I grew up with Ian in the church. Started, I call it the four quarters. It was my house, Ron Camrat's house, Luke Henry's house, and Ian Torrey's house. And it was those four houses. I would just make my rounds each year, and we had a blast. Like, it was a lot of fun. Now, Luke moved away. Ron Camrat grew up, started doing his own thing, and I can't remember anyone else in my childhood memories, anyone else more than Ian. Like, we spent, we spent like every day together. It was quite impressive. And there was a reason for that. We got along really well, and I'm just going to read from it so I can get through it. It says, I knew Ian since we were young. We grew up together in the same neighborhood. We'd often take times riding our bikes to each other's houses to hang out. We grew up together and often began to confide in each other our dreams and feelings and curiosities, and pretty much just grew up knowing what we wanted to do with our lives. We spent a lot of time talking about this. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about his character and what kind of man he was until his illness took him. Ian was probably my best friend growing up. I didn't have many friends, but the reason why I pulled him in such high esteem is because he was very patient with me. He would listen to my heated ramblings about politics, as David Torrey knows quite a lot about, what's right and wrong. I was very opinionated. I still am, but to a much less degree. He would listen patiently, and he would kind of guide me through the conversation. He was smarter than me. So he would just be like, all right, this is just one of Ben's episodes. He would give input, and he knew I just needed to vent. He had a strong, compassionate character, and he really, we use the word shepherded, and for those of you that don't know what that means, it's like you're caring for an ant, like a little animal that's smaller than you, like you're making sure they get fed and that they're looked after. So he really did that for me. I would spend time with him a lot. So he didn't want to waste his life. That is a major thing. Like, what we would talk about, he knew life was special, and we entered college together, and he was going to make every effort to build himself up into something useful, not just for himself and for a future family that he desired of his own, but also for God. He had a strong belief and a strong faith that he wanted to be useful to God. He was reading books, mainly his dedication to that goal, and I still remember encountering him for the first time when he started. He developed, I think the proper diagnosis was schizophrenia, right? Schizoaffecto, where there's basically too much dopamine production in your brain, and it causes audible and visual hallucinations. And the onset of that is very strange because there was no symptoms of it up until that point. So I just remember I was on campus and I was walking by the writing center, and he was behind the writing center. There was like a little alleyway at RCC, and he was just secluded, just distraught. He didn't know what to do with himself, but there was something going on with him, and he didn't talk about it. But I knew there was something wrong. I think he was getting hallucinations, and he was reaching out to his girlfriend at the time for help. But the problem is like, when you first encounter, like when someone first encounters that problem, either through bipolar disorder or some kind of anxiety disorder that can cause hallucinations, it's very easy to like back away from them because it's a surprising situation, you know. And so if you don't have any training with it or experience, you don't know what to do. So anyway, I just remember seeing that for the first time, and I was befuddled, and it took me a long time to figure out what was going on. But so I'll just finish up here. Eventually, the illness took him. He would have episodes of mania and obsessive compulsive disorder. So I would go visit him, and he would like repeat the same thing over and over again, like he was caught in a loop, and he couldn't forget it. And I just kept thinking the song. It was funny because I didn't know how to handle it. Like I was dealing with my own thing, and I was so impressed with Joe and Lydia and their capacity to keep caring for their son, and I just remember thinking about this song, like driving, when I just felt like everything fell apart, like our hopes and dreams. And it's called The Kids Aren't All Right. It's like a rock band in the 90s. And I was just like, man, it's like, I felt like his own body just robbed him of like the very life it was supposed to provide. And I can't imagine what it's like to grow up believing in God and like dedicating yourself to committing to Him and like trying to bring yourself to a higher purpose, enrolling in school with the utmost intention of finishing, and then being just slammed out of that reality, just face planted into the ground. Like, no, like you're done. Like, I'm not only going to take that from you, but I'm going to make you suffer like every day of your life. Hallucinate. You don't know what's real, what's not. Just rob you of your sanity. So hopefully someday they can actually find a cure for this. And I know probably most people here have like a genetic malfunction. Like it's just, you know, we see, and you wonder, you're like, why does God do that to people? It's like, it's so easy to get angry. Like, what's the deal? Like, we're doing everything right. You know, he was a model Christian, like the perfect Christian. You think God would step out of his own real quick and just be like, hey, you know what? You're doing a pretty good job. I'm going to spare you this suffering. I mean, Daniel went through the same damn thing. That guy committed his heart to God and then face planted. No, you're done. And so I had a really good conversation with Joe about this, and it's really hard to figure out because I denied the Lord tons of times. Like I was like, I had my issues and I was done with it. I was like, I gave my life to you and you screwed me over and I'm over it. Like, I'm done, right? But what impressed me about Ian is he never, ever gave up the faith. Like, this guy got dealt the worst hand that anyone could have, and he was calling on the name of the Lord up until his death. So I'm a loser. I really wish I could have seen him accomplish everything that he wanted to, because he would have been amazing. He would have been really amazing. But I like to curse a little bit and just say, you know, God damn this awful and broken world where our genetics are failing. I think there's more people here with genetic problems than there are healthy people. I think we go home and we all have a particular problem, whether with depression or muscle atrophy or diabetes or just whatever. It's like it's hard to ascertain how to enjoy life and move forward in life when we're constantly being pulled back. But one thing, so I came to this conclusion, and I said, I think one thing I feel most solace in is knowing that Ian has finally left his shell. Like, he's done with it. He fought the good fight, and he left his shell. And I know him, and he was finally going to be glorified. and what despite all my denials and infusions, God still gives me grace. He still has mercy on me. And one thing that I really appreciated thinking about is, I was like, he's probably having a conversation with the Apostle Paul right now. Just like eating an apple, like learning about the mysteries of the universe. The way he did pass away, I think, was quiet, and I personally believe God stretched out his hand and released Ian from the terrible state the world gave him. And I know God has a special heart for his sons that have been suffering, and without a doubt, he's resting. And so I started off with that song, "The Kids Aren't All Right," but the verse that comes to mind is the one where he's gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's gonna roll up the universe like a sheet, and he's just gonna reset it. Because at this point, what I came to realize is everything's broken. Everything's going downhill. Genetics are breaking apart generation by generation. There's nothing we can really do. We have medical science that's been very helpful. But I look forward to the day, because this world is corrupt, it's going downhill, that God will eventually get what he's after in these trialing times, find a group of people that he can call his own in order to bring the age to an end. So I hope we can still be that people. And just to finish up, I just said I would like this memorial to not be sad, because I think this release from pain deserves some rest. And I want to remember Ian as the way he was before his illness took him. His illness was kind of like a false truth. Yeah, there was him in there battling that, but there was something much stronger and deeper to his personality. He was a very gentle and understanding, intelligent, capable human being. He did not deserve any of this, nor does anyone who suffers from such a disease. But I'm glad, he's finally at rest, and I think we can continue to have hope that we're going to keep getting grace, and God will have a way to work in us and feed us that life to eventually come back and renew everything. So thank you.
I'll try not to cry, but I just wanted to, my name is Monica Dahl. I have a son that's close in age to Ian, Samuel, who also has bipolar, schizoaffective, and Asperger's. And the good thing about when someone dies, if they're a believer, they're going to get a new body and a new mind. But because my son Daniel, who is friends with the Torres, and Sam couldn't be here, and my son Jesse loved Ian too. And verily, I just felt like I needed to tell you that we were glad that we got to know the Torres when we first moved to Riverside. And my brother Michael, he also died when he was young. He was 33 and he had MS, and he was an artist and mechanical. And 3 months before he died, he said he was in the most beautiful garden, and Christ was putting his hand out to him and shining like the sun. And he said, I didn't want to leave. And then 3 months later, he died of a brain aneurysm. So we know that Ian's in a wonderful place, and that we'll see him again if we're believers. And I just wanted to tell you that I was so impressed with the Torres, how much they loved each other as a family. And that's really a gift from God, to have a support system. And so I just want to tell you that you're blessed to know Ian, that we know that when we see him again, that it will be a wonderful experience. Dear families, yeah, we are one family. And then Ian, I know this decent young man that is 15 years ago. That time, my family just moved to Riverside from Yobelinda. That time, everything is new for me, especially I bring a cancer children, my daughter. He was 8 years old. And that time, I was in the suffer, okay? And then the church life in Riverside is totally new for me. And that time we need to drive for 30 minutes to go to La Sierra. I still remember. And then in that time, I don't know, Ian, that time he was 15 years old. I just calculate. It's a high schooling student, the young people. It's not easy for a teenager, young people like him. When we meet each other, he come to me, I still can remember. It's a tall, very tall and strong, with a very cute smiling. Hi, you guys, very kind and gentle. And even I remember he introduced himself. I have Chinese name. I'm New Man. 我叫新人. My name is New Man. Oh, I think, make me so impressed for this young man. Look at it right now. A lot of teenagers, they just doesn't look at you. They just, hi, sister, it's good enough. But Ian come to us. What encouragement, right? Maybe the parents, they don't know. But he really impressed me and encouraged me. When the new mover come here with the cancer children, his greeting really come from my heart, right? And then how to involve the new church life, so many different people and different language. But Ian, such young people come to me, and Stewart, my husband, like to hang out with young people. Ian really in my heart. And then I think although the time passed for so many years, even we moved to, my husband got a PhD and moved to Arkansas. We moved back, and right now we are in Paris, France. And this summer I come back. I really feel there's a big loss. How can the Lord, take away such young, good brothers, right? And then I can testify, the Sister Shogo, for so many years church life, we always have the prayer together. And then Brother Joe and Lydia, you guys are always in our prayer. And Daniel, Ian, your sons, right? So this family, already 15 years passed, this family still in my heart, right? When I just, and then suddenly I heard this news that, oh Lord Jesus, it's hard to say goodbye to my dear brother. I love to see he got married, have the little baby like the young generation. It's what the encouragement. I can see the Lord's recovery. The church life have the new generation rest up. How can I miss his part? I really feel the hurt, it's hard to take it. But, but I do like to encourage our brothers, sisters, Brother Joe and Lillian, come back to the church life. And then, although you lose one, you have still two sons, and you have a lot of daughter, a lot of the son in the church life. Even you have the grandchildren in the church life, right? So although I'm busy, Saturday is a time. Come here, I pray, and then clean the house. Sorry, I will. Because this is my family. Although I don't have the chance, even my English not good, or Spanish not good, but I still try to fellowship with you guys, if we have time, right? So, I think that it's the time for us to think about the spiritual realm, right? So we don't want to give the Satan the chance. We need to bind together. We need to have the more pray, petition for each other. Right? So when I pray, the Lord give me the verse. Is in the 1 Corinthians. Sorry, I need to find it. 1 Corinthians. Yeah, it's talk about here. Okay,
1 Corinthians chapter 15, 42. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is the rise in the incorruption. 43. It is so in the dishonor. It is rest in the rest in glory. It is so in the weakness. It is rest in the power. So all the believers, we are children of God. We have the eternal life. We have the hope of eternal life. Yeah, although one day we all will die, but we have the hope of resurrection. One day we will meet each other again. And then we will say, "Hi, Brother Ian. Yeah, it's good to see you again. I miss his the cute, the smiling. Yeah, and then the very strong hug. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I cannot forget him for eternity. So praise the Lord. Dear saints, come back to the church life. Oh, treasure each one of our other. We are the family of God. The Satan want to isolate us. Stay home. Oh, it's the Lord's table. You got to go. Oh, no, just come. Someone is expecting to see you. Okay? The church, the Lord needs your portion. Come back to the church life. Amen. Which is your home. Amen.
Hi, I know Ian's up there, and I just say I miss you, Ian. Just a little memory I had of Ian was with my brothers, and this was so funny what they used to do. You know, nowadays when kids get together, they, just play video games together, and I think for the most part kids did do that back then. But I don't know, my brothers and the Torre kids were just different. But they would get a tape recorder, and they would go back into either Ian's room or if they were at our house, they'd go into my brother's room, and they'd spend hours putting together pretend commercials. And and they would be whatever, I know one of them was a zit cream, okay, and I can't remember exactly. I wish I had the recording of what they would be trying to sell, but it was just so adorable. Of course, I thought it was really smart, and they're going to be really rich businessmen someday. But this is me because I was only, pretty much the same age as Ian, and I just look back at that and I go, wow. Of course, it's really adorable, and I love Ian. He was a really wonderful person, and it was fun to see them have fun like that. And of course, they grew up, and here we are now. But we'll miss him, and I'll see him in the kingdom. Thank you.
My name's Kevin, so I've known Ian since high school. Used to play Dungeons & Dragons with these guys. Ian introduced me to the Lord, and it was kind of interesting to be introduced because... Is that better? Can you hear me now? AT&T? Okay, we're good? Okay. I'm actually taller than that. The black one works?
They're both.
We good? No?
No, it's okay. I just adjusted. I'm using both of them.
Oh, God.
One's for the live stream and one's for the.
I also work in IT, so this is what we call a technical issue, or ID10E error, which just spells out idiot. I'm gonna leave it at that. But as far as Ian going, when he first introduced me to the Lord, it was kind of fun because we'd go to our Bible studies. I want to say it was at Brother David's house, and Lydia would drive us there. She'd pick us up. And I remember one time it was Ian, I want to say his brother Daniel, and I don't know if Keone was there or not. You might have been, because it was just, David's kids were going to sleep, and so they asked for a bedtime story. Ian automatically picked up his guitar and started playing some lullaby. Keone, or Daniel, picks up the book and starts rapping the lullaby. I just remember it was Mary Had a Little Lamb, and there's just like, Mary had a little lamb, 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 and I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is a Christian life, apparently. We rap songs for our kids. And I've actually taken that and done that to my own kids now. So like most of the time when I play songs, I'll do different things. And it just reminds me of Ian. I've actually picked up playing the guitar, and I've actually wanted to contact Ian probably about 2 weeks before he passed to just say, hey, I got a guitar, like I'll come over, well, teach me how to play again. So I'm sad that that didn't get to happen. But just to go on another story with Ian, when he first met that's my wife Amber, but I think it was my girlfriend at the time, and we took Ricardo we went out camping. That was fun. I've been doing camping since I was 5. When I took Ian out, it was a completely different story than camping. Ian was the one who would we would be starting a fire, and he'd pick up the stick with fire. He's like, "Look, guys, watch." It's like, Ian, we're in a forest, dude. There's trees and stuff. We're gonna burn and die. Another time, we took him out to Joshua Tree, and he woke up at 2:00 in the morning. And I remember the next day, Ricardo and my wife Amber wake up and they go, "Where's Ian?" I said, "I don't know. I thought he was with you guys." He goes, "No, where's Ian?" And it's about maybe like 3:00 in the morning when they woke up. And they just kind of look at me and they go, "Go get Ian." I said, "Do you realize how tall Ian is?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you realize that Ian has a machete?" Like, "Yeah." "And you want me to go out into the desert, the wild wilderness, and go find Ian, who's tall, has a machete?" "No, I'll sleep it off." And the next day we found him he was on a rock, and he was just laying down and sleeping. That's something he would always love to do. He loved to sleep out underneath the stars. But he was my friend. I'm going to miss him. And I'm pretty sure we'll all see him when we all go to heaven.
Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Ricardo, and I live directly across from Ian. I've known Ian since the age of 8. There's such a lot of good memories growing up with Ian. Some of those are basically when we started out being young kids. You know how kids are, troublemakers. Well, we were the neighborhood Pablo's troublemakers. What we would do is, as kids, I'm sure Joe and Lydia probably don't know this, but we used to go up to people's houses and knock and then just run, get a good laugh. Yeah, we used to do that a lot. I know one we did get in trouble. We grabbed a tennis ball, and in our neighborhood we have lights, and we would purposely break the lights so that way the whole street lights would turn off, and then we could play tag or hide and go seek. Because back then we used to have, it was like it was about like 10, 15 kids of us, just how we all grew up. But as you get older, everybody gets married and moves on and goes out of state or so forth. But I'm truly going to miss him. He was such a great friend, very gifted. I immigrated here. Barely. I struggled with English, and one of the best things I can say about Ian is that he was such a great teacher. He would go that extra mile and help me out with learning the basic reading and writing. I would come over a lot. In fact, he would also teach me how to build computers too, because that was one of his primary talents of building computers. So every time my computer breaks down, Ian's the go-to person. But yeah, a lot of good memories. I used to have a lot of bonfires. He'd come over. It would be a lot of us, like 15 of us. Everybody would bring their computers, and we'll set it up, even pitch up tents, and we'd just camp out in my backyard. And it was really cool because I truly miss those years. And Ian would bring his guitar, and he would play good music, and every New Year too, he would come over too, and he'll play some guitar. I work graveyard. One of the good things too is when I get home like around 3, 4 in the morning, I see Ian, and we'd be hanging out in the driveway, just talking, sharing, just random stuff. But truly gonna miss him. And thank you, Joe, Daniel, David, Lydia, for being such great neighbors. Thank you.
My sister mentioned some videos that we'd make, and it's true. We'd carry a video camera around everywhere, and we'd make videos, like tons of, and they were stupid. Like if you watched him, you would lose brain cells. But we had the best time doing it. There was this one time where we were at the bowling alley and we were recording each other, and I was doing something stupid, and Ian was recording me, and I had the bowling ball, it was my dad's bowling ball, and I picked it way back up and I threw it, and it just cracked, and the whole thing hit the side rail and blew up everywhere. And right before that, no, it was that night, we came back and David visited, it was at our house near UCR, and David just got a new car. And we were, so we're like, let's make a survival commercial, like with the insurance company where they go, "Are you insured by survival?" So we're like, okay, so I'm recording everything, and Ian's like standing on the side of the road and he needs a ride and his thumb's out, and David comes driving up. He's like, "Hey man, you need a ride?" He's like, "Yeah, thanks." So he gets in the car, and they're driving up, and the car's like screeching, and there's a sound, and it's like car's like gonna blow up, like it's like shaking and everything. And Ian's like, "Are you insured?" Like he's in the car already. He's like, "Hey, are you insured?" And David's like, "Yeah, Western United," or something like that. And he goes, "By survival." He's like, "I just told you, Western United." He's like, "Oh, forget this." And he opens the door and he jumps out of the moving car. And so like the next scene, he's like rolling down the road. So we made a lot of like stupid videos like that. We later on down the road, we found out that you could like get this cheap editing software and you could add sound effects and stuff. So we made this huge, like, mindless story that we made up as we went along. But basically it went like this. One of our friends was like a scientist, and there was a compound, and he goes up to the compound, but as he's going up to the compound, he gets attacked by this wild creature that ferociously tears him apart, or tries to. And he's able to shoot it and kill it, and what it is, it's a were-gopher. So it's not a werewolf, but it's like a guy who like transforms into this little gopher, and he like attacks you and tries to kill you. So the government, this is a government facility, so they're like, okay, well, we need to cover this up because this is what they were experimenting with at the facility, and it got out, and this is a problem. So they call in this team of soldiers that's like this ragtag team that's like that can have the utmost plausible deniability. So like Ian comes in, and he's like the top dog. He's wearing a Mighty Ducks hat backwards and like desert camo, just like his vest is just like open, and he goes into the briefing with an apple, and he's like, all right, let's hear the details, real tough. And then my brother and some other soldiers come in, and each one has a quality. Like there's the kid who's like this little kid, but he's a sniper, and he has a gun that's like twice his size. And then you have a couple other people that are like special ops. So they go in, and they take out the guards, and basically they uncover this big government conspiracy and cover up, and they go and they chase these native people who like shoot bows and arrows at them, but they have guns. And anyway, they end up solving the problem and saving the world. So we had a lot of fun with things like that. I think David, the video, I brought it, but David's gonna post it or something somewhere, and you guys welcome to see it. So yeah, Ian's character was I called him the Grizzly because his character, he grew up in Alaska and he was raised by bears. So he's raised, and he's like half Russian, half British. But then he gets called on. He used to be in the military, like special ops, but he's old school. So he only fights with like muskets and like hatchets and stuff. And he's really experienced fighting like natives and like indigenous people. So, but he's like, because he used to live with them too. So he had like a flute that he learned how to play. So he'd bring that, and like in the middle of combat, he'd be like, "Let me find my center," and he'd pull out his flute and he'd like play it. So anyway, I just wanted to share a couple.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, everyone. And I think we're going to go out to Coco's or something after. No? Well, we were going to. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I just wanted to say a couple things about how to speak to somebody that has a mental illness that's symptomatic. It's maybe not making sense, or you don't really know how to handle them. We need to speak to their feelings. So maybe the things that they think are happening aren't happening, or the things they believe may not be real, but their feelings and the way they're reacting to it is totally real to them. And so the way to deal with it is to you can't really argue with them, or sometimes it's very difficult to convince them that the things they're believing aren't true, but just reach out and ask them if they need a hug, or if they need some kind of comfort. Just love them and nurture them. That's how to take care of somebody that's sick, like that. Also, we're in a society where these illnesses are stigmatized. Every TV show where there's somebody that has a mental illness, they're going to kill somebody, or they're going to jump off a building, or it's scary stuff. And that's how we grow up. And that's what we think mental illness is, but it isn't. People have a mental illness. It's just like having a heart condition or hypertension or any physical ailment, but it happens to affect the organ of their brain, so it affects their behaviors. And don't get freaked out. It's not really scary. They're not dangerous most of the time. How can we help? How can we reach out? Well, just don't let them fall through the cracks. Don't. If you realize that their actions may be influenced by their beliefs that aren't real or whatever, then you need to still reach out to them and be a friend. That's all. If we could do anything in our life to help other people that are struggling with this, or their families, it's something to remember Ian. That'd make kind of a meaningful thing. Joanne, you mentioned a NAMI program. What was it called? FaithNet. So I'm going to talk to the elders here and maybe explore that. Maybe we can have a class here for folks that are dealing with these things, and we can maybe gain some more skills in how to shepherd these people and bring them back into function, maybe even, and help them to heal as much as possible and function as much as possible. But as you heard, even though Ian was sick, he still was a really sweet person. He still had a lot of love in him, and we can't. I don't think we'll ever really understand, why one person is blessed so much, it seems, and another person seems like they're being cursed or whatever they're suffering. But just realize that we all are pretty messed up in different ways, and we just need the Lord in our life. This is not a religious gathering. It's to remember Ian, but Ian believed this too. He knew the Lord loved him, and we all have anger towards the Lord when we go through sufferings. We talk to him, tell him how we feel. I mean, don't be afraid to be real, to be, genuine with the Lord, how you feel about whatever's happening. And he's always going through these things with us. We may think that it's unfair, but he's with us. He's not leaving us when we go through these things. He's indwelling us for our life when we receive him. And we can gain him more even, through the suffering. I tried to come to the Lord's Day meeting last weekend, last Lord's Day, but I just couldn't stop weeping. As soon as the Spirit started to be active in me, I just started to weep. I know the Spirit also grieves, and he understands. The Lord went through, human living and suffered as much, more than probably anyone has ever suffered, and so he knows. He understands, and we can just turn to him to get through whatever we need to get through. God bless you, Ian. Ian, we love you, and we thank you, Lord, for him and for all that he was to us, and we'll continue to remember him. Amen.